I'm Tom Trimmingham. This is screenprintingartist.com, Screen Printing Artist videos. If you go and sign up on screenprintingartist.com, you can get my free ebook, The Art and Training Guide, to help you out with CorelDRAW and Photoshop a little bit. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I want to make, quickly as we can, let's go ahead and make a vintage t-shirt design. By vintage, I mean it kind of looks like it's a retro label or something like that. First you want to type out all the type you want to use. So I'm going to type that out first, and let's go ahead and do that. Fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm going to use a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu saying here. Type it all out, and then there we go. So once you have all your typed out, you can break it apart. Control K. Move some of the stuff that I'm not going to use off of the screen for now. Let's go ahead and save your file. Control Shift S. We'll save it to, I'll just save it to my desktop real quick. Go ahead and save it to BJJ1. Sounds good. And then what we'll do is we're going to start by creating some of the elements of the font. So I'm going to make a shape here. It's going to be half of a banner essentially. I'm going to I made it with the rectangle tool. Control Q turns it to curves, and then I can kind of start to skew the pieces here. I'm going to select them all and turn them all to curves. That way I can kind of turn this down a little bit, move this one in just a little bit, and then we can kind of start to angle these a little bit. I'll angle it towards this one, angle this one, this node. I'm just clicking on the individual nodes using the shape tool, and then I can kind of arc things a little bit. So you can start to arc it, make it look a little bit more like a scroll. That's kind of the first step. I can kind of straighten this up a little bit, and then I can kind of stretch this and go a little taller than the rest of it. See how it's kind of going up and at a curve now? I may want to dramatize this just a little more, like that, and then curve this. See how that creates that arc, that nice arc right there? That's what you want on this. And so I kind of echo that at the top too. Kind of arcs this way, right? And then once we have that, we're going to just make some shapes in here. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to use the freehand tool. I'm just going to click here, and then double click, and double click, and then double click. And then I'm going to double click on the shape tool, convert it all to curves. That makes it easier for me to rapidly kind of arc this piece as well. And this is just kind of creating a shape here. I'm going to arc this up just like that. And you can kind of see how that created a piece there that kind of goes along. And then what I'm going to do is just drag it, and then I'm going to right click. Oops. Drag it, try it again, and right click. And then I can Control D and duplicate it all the way down. So I create a whole bunch. I'll do one more, and then I'll move them up just so that they're all, you want them all in that line there, like that. And then I'll click one more time and I'll skew them just so they're, make sure they're all even on that line. And then I'm going to merge them together, Control L, fill them black, and then I'll go back up here. And then I'm going to make this a solid line as well, like pretty thick. I'll probably make it 3 points-ish, something like that. Maybe a little less. But 3 is about right. Let's go ahead and beef this up just a little bit. Bump it down. There. Looks pretty good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and Control D, duplicate it. Now I notice it bumped it off the side. I don't want it to skew when I bump it. Control D. So I'm going to change my nudge settings up here. This is your duplicates and settings. If you go in here, that's a duplicate distance. You want to change that to 0 if you don't want it to go off on you like that. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to Control D, create a duplicate just on top. Now I hold the Control key down, and I drag it across the middle, it mirrors it on the other side. And this way I mirrored my pieces, and I can take this piece and this piece, select them both, and then just weld them together here using the weld command. and that creates this. Now it's a little bit of a weird shape in the middle, so what I can do is I'll just average it, click here, click there, get rid of the middle node, delete it. So that kind of rounds it out a little bit better. Delete, like that. Looks pretty good. Now, one thing you can do as well when you're doing banners, I'll group this, move it down, is when you're looking at a shape, if it doesn't look like a really smooth curve to you, this is a really good tip. Create an oval as a reference point. I'll just turn it magenta so I can see where it goes. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of use that oval arc as a reference to see where in my design is this not kind of working, right? And you kind of see how it's married up to that oval edge here, but to really make it look good, it really needs to go up in the middle a little more, right? And so what I can do is I can use this constrain mode and hopefully bump it just a little bit to get it more on point with that oval. There. Now, the other nice thing about that is I can use that oval then as a reference for my type, and this type can go in there. And I'm going to use a font here. Let's go ahead and look for an antique font. We want kind of an antique vintage font that we can use in here. So let's find something that it's a little bit vintage, maybe. I think there's one in the C's that could probably work pretty well. There, that's a pretty good font for what we're doing. I might add a little bit of an edge to it. So I add just a hairline, pen line on it. But that's a good font. I'm going to spread it out just a little bit. Not too much. And I may stretch it a tiny bit as well. And then that font, I want it to arc along this. So I can try first using the fit to path text, fit text to path. I can try that first and see if that actually works. That looks pretty good in here. What I may want though is I want that font a little bit taller. So I click once and then I click again. And that gives me just the font. Let me see if I lift it up a little bit. There, that's not bad. And now if I move the whole thing up, looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to break that apart. Control K. I'm going to get rid of this, delete that part right there. I'm going to save my file, Control S. And then we can start to work at the top, and we can kind of make this this whole font thing start to come together a little bit. Let's go ahead and we want to make some flourishes on the top here. I'll compress it just a little bit, drag it down. Maybe have a little bit of like a Jack Daniels look or a beer label look to it by creating just a little bit of a flourish. So I'll just do this kind of quick here, like that. Create one piece, and then I'll create a second piece here, and then, whoops, and then we'll do one that comes off here, goes like this, and then it's nice if you have an echo piece, kind of goes with it, and then you just do a couple of flares here, there, and then one that goes in and back through that way. Okay, and now when you have these, what you can do is you can kind of smooth them out, and I'll show how this works. So I just did those kind of quick with the mouse, but delete this, smooth them out a little bit, kind of rounder. And if you have ones where there's clunky parts to it, you can just double click, and then delete those nodes that are kind of clunky to smooth those pieces out. This part too. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'll click here and then get rid of this one. And then this. So you can see how I'm kind of just making these a lot smoother, which will help because when you want to make like realistic looking flourishes in a kind of a hurry, you definitely want your flourishes to be what should we say, not to be clunky looking or just really not smooth looking. Alright, so let me get rid of this middle node. So now that I've cleaned them up, I'm kind of making them along the same axis as the other ones. So I'm just, that actually helps make it look a little bit more tribal. Now, what you do now is you can take these and you can drag them, and usually I go up, just go up to the right. You want to kind of have it almost like a calligraphy look, and then you can combine them, Control L, and then I'll just combine these 2 points on the ends, hold the shift key down, and then just join those together. Whoops, I'll do them 2 at a time here. Join them there, and then join them here, and then you can just fill that. See how that kind of makes a quick kind of flourish there. Let me go ahead and fix this one. Delete. And you can use the same kind of rule here too with that oval. If you had flourishes and they weren't looking really smooth and you wanted to really smooth them out, you can get an oval and use that as a reference, because a lot of times that'll help you with this kind of a look too. If your if your curves don't look ideal, a lot of times just a little bit of a work with an oval will really make a big difference for you as far as that goes. I like to have them kind of cutting in almost like they're going to merge together. That gives it kind of a cool look too. I'll do the same thing here where we have this kind of coming up like that. About the same distance as the other one is good. And then right click, then combine them, Control L, and then just merge. And this is, granted, this isn't a perfect way of doing it, but it's fast. So sometimes you give up a little precision, and obviously these would need to be, kind of evened out if we were doing this like really clean. But for what we're doing right now, it'll work to give us kind of a quick kind of look here. And again, I want to have this like skewed off, so I want these to get big and small. So I kind of go off at an angle. Click, Control L. This one, same sort of thing. Go here, Control L, and this one. Go up a little bit like that, right click, and this one a little bit like that, and right click. And then here, Control L, just merging them real quick here. Control L. And then we'll just go ahead and marry all these points up. Say join, join, here, join. And if you don't like, if it's looking too weird, you can always delete and adjust a little bit. Marry these 2 up, join this. It's probably going to give me the same kind of not good look, so I'll delete these prior to joining these. Join. There we go. Not as bad. And then join the top here. And then this one. Join this. And join this. Okay. One thing about Illustrator, it does a great job of doing this. Like if you want to make your own flourishes and that sort of stuff, the Illustrator tool, especially in concert with the pen tool, works really good. But you can kind of do a little workaround here with Corel, and it's not too bad either. Just kind of get these flourishes working, and I want just a little bit of a center point, so I'm just going to use this, dupe it, and crush it a little bit, and then flip it this way, and I can kind of merge this up. And then what happens is we essentially take this piece right here, drag it down so it's right off the edge of this banner, not right on it, but right off the edge, like that, and we'll dupe it. Control D, and then you flip it. And then I like to overlap it a little bit in the middle, just so that it looks a little fancier. And then you can kind of merge this together, group it, and then you can center it by holding the Shift key down, then you hit the C key, and you center them both together. And then I'll bump it up just a little bit so it's off. Squeeze it so it's a little bit shorter than the edge. And then you've got your kind of working top edge. I'll save it. And then we got to get this font going in here. And then, so we need kind of a cursive, vintage cursive font for this. Let's find one real quick. I want one that's not too common, like that's a real common one. And let's see, Discus will work, I think. Let's use that. Yeah, on second thought, looking at this, you know, sometimes you can pick a better font. So let's try something that has a little bit more gothic look to it, look a little tougher. You can always angle it too a little bit as well. Like that. And then in addition to that, what we do is you can break it apart, Control K, and you can take these pieces, Control Q, convert them all into a curve, and then this one, Control Q, but then just go bigger with it. A lot bigger. And then this one, you can kind of go a little bit lower, off to the side a little bit, and then group them all, and then you just kind of skew them up at an angle like that. And then what we're going to do is create a couple lines here, some vintage kind of lines like this, and then you duplicate it and then shrink it down just a little bit, and then I'll nudge it below right here. This way we can have a little thin kind of accent line here, kind of bring it in here, and then bring the next type in, kind of work our way down a little bit. This font, I'll probably use another antique font. I was thinking maybe Algerian on this one, which is a fairly common kind of antique font. I'm going to break it apart again, Control K, and then Control K on this one, and that way I can blow up the first letter of the font right there. Blow up the first letter, and then blow up the first letter, and then move them over. So you just have to keep kind of organizing these, and then what I'll do is I'll drag this down, right click, and then I'll reset it. So you double click, and then you kind of reset it as a comma. That way I can use it this way. I always kind of like it the other way though, actually, but I don't know if that'll look right, but I'll just kind of leave it that way. And then you can bring these all together, like I kind of squeezed them together a little bit, and then you just Control Q, convert them all to curves, and then Control L, and then I can put that little pen line on it too, just to thicken them up just a little bit. Then I'll group them and drag them up so they're about even with the line here, and then I can kind of stretch them a little bit too, just a little bit. And these I'm going to take the pen line off So I right click there, and that leaves them thinner, and then I'll drag this down and then right click just like that. And then you can kind of group all this together. And then what you do is you just skew the whole thing at an angle like that, and you kind of go and tuck it under here. Just tuck it up a little bit, and this can go up like that. I'll tuck it down just a little bit here. And you just kind of align in the bottom line of this. I'll move it down just a hair, and I'm going to cut this out, so that'll work that way. And then the other side, I want the other side to be even, so technically this and this, if I click center, it'll be aligned to center. So I can cut this tip off here. So basically I'm going to want this. I'm just creating a triangle shape here. I'll just fill it with white. And I'll just hold the shift key down, select both of these, and then shift page down, and then that covers it up. And it'll do the same thing here for this piece where it overlaps here. Just fill it with white, no outline, and then select them both, holding the shift key, shift page down, just like that. I might actually increase the size a little bit, just because I want it to take up more space. And then I can kind of move these pieces over. So I'll just take this, I'll squeeze it a little bit. That way. I want it to be cutting through, but I want it to be a little bigger, just so it takes up a little bit more of that space. I didn't want it to hang down. So, and then I need out down here, and out's going to be the same font. It's that shadowed Germanica font, just like this. Same sort of thing, same sort of angle. I'm going to control K, break it apart, and then control Q, and then I want this to be a little bigger, like my other one is. Skew it up a little bit, and these essentially control Q, and then these will be skewed as well. So grab them all, skew them, and then shift them up, just like these were. I'll shrink this O just a little bit, so it's not too much bigger than my D. And I can kind of bump this up, so it cuts into the font as well. And I think I'll do the O too, or I'll do the part of the T here. I can probably compress it a little bit more, just so it looks like the top one. So the more consistent you are, the more it looks like a formally done design, which is always kind of a good thing. Like that. And then I will just cut this out here. Again, I'm just double clicking. I'll go over here. Just kind of made a shape to cut it out, and then I right click to knock off the outline and hold the shift key, select, shift page down. So that kind of knocks out my the outlines here for both of these. I'm going to save my file. Come back. It's starting to look kind of vintage, which is the idea. And if I need to move this over, like if I want this to be over, I can move it. I'll just make sure I move the white cutouts along with the design here, because I want to kind of have my center line you know, so it looks like it's balanced there. I was just kind of checking it. Okay, and then we got these two pieces at the bottom, and then I'm going to make some flourishes, and I can wrap this up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and this font. I think there's a Roman font, if I believe there's a Roman font that I might be able to use. Let's see if it's here somewhere. Thought I had one. Yeah, here it is, Regula. That looks kind of vintage, which I like. Gives it kind of a vintage look. Just kind of nice. Use that. Maybe that's too roughed up. So if you, when all the other fonts are clean, and then you have one font that's kind of messy, sometimes it doesn't fit. So instead of using that, I'm going to second guess myself here. I'm just going to go ahead and use that the first one that I had, which was Cheltenham right here, or Casteller, I think it was. Yeah, we'll use that. Just add a little pen line to it. There's that, and here's this one. Okay. And now all we need really is some flares here. So I'll take this. I think I'm just going to make these a little bit more of a formal. Double click, make it curves, I'll hit delete, and then I'll hit duplicate it, and then I'll squeeze it a little bit. Wait, let me duplicate it again. I think I missed that. That right there, and then you can combine the two. Control L, and then you just grab those nodes and merge them. What I think I need though, I forgot, I don't think they, let's see. Let me see what happened here. Oh, it looks like they're merged already. Okay. So just these need to be merged. Nope, that isn't the problem either. Let's see. Control K. 4 objects. Oh, because there's some that I duplicated on top, so that's the problem. Sometimes I do that by accident. I duplicate 2 sets, and then the computer gets confused, and I can't merge anything. It gets to be a hassle here. Okay. Join, and join. There we go. And now I want this to be tucked behind, kind of like it's lining up there, and then I'll squeeze it as well here just a little bit, and then fill it with black. Tuck it down just a little bit, and then that I'll duplicate it, flip it, stretch it out, and then what I want at the bottom, I'm going to take a little scroll here like this one, duplicate it, actually no, I'll copy it and paste it, take it down here, right click, and then I'll flip it, and I'll rotate it a little bit. So it lines up with the end of this, like that, and then I can blow it up just a little bit. Move it over a nudge or two, the nudge tool. Let me save the file, and then I'm going to create a little scroll at the bottom here. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to essentially just take a pretty big circle, and I'll go over like this here. Might even go a little like that. And then what I'll do is I'll take a second one, I'll duplicate it and blow this up. So I'll drag it out and blow it up so it's like about that big. And then I merge the two. And if I want them identical, I could always drag this one over a little bit so they have a nice identical size oval. I combine them both, Control L, and now I'm just going to cut them using just an oval here. I'm just going to cut the outside edge, but I think I'm going to make it a little smaller so it's more rounded. And then I'll just kind of bring it around here and I'll cut it right around this shape right here. So my scroll kind of goes like that. Let me click this. I'll trim it like that. I'm going to drag this over, cut this side. Trim it. Delete that. Delete this. Then I can break this apart. Control K. I don't need the top piece, so I delete that. Save the file. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down and just use the same outline here. Move this up a little bit. And then now I need just some of these little pointy things in there, so I'm just going to throw a couple of those in there. Drag it out a bit. And then I'll just go here, 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 and one more there. Take all these, there, group. Obviously we don't want them sticking out here, but what we can do, if you don't want these points to stick out, one quick way to kind of solve that is to just make them into a power clip inside of that scroll. So I can do that in a second. Let me click this, drag them across, right click, and then hold the control key and flip them. And then hold the shift key and then it kind of aligns them to the other ones. And then group them, group, and then effect, power clip, place inside frame. Pop them right in there, and then they're inside, and I didn't have to cut them. It saves time. And then this, I should be able to fit this in here. But what I might want to do, just because it'd be easier, is to click and drag and make a duplicate, and then I'll just right click, extract contents, delete those, and then this, and just break this apart and just use it as an outline. So I'll just break it here and here, select those two nodes, break it, and then I'm just going to Control K, get rid of the top piece, delete that, and then this top thing, I'm just going to get rid of the any frame type that was in there. And then this line, this outline, let me right click off and then right click on again. This I can use as a fixed at the path. I can fix it to this path, say, and then I can just drag it where I want it to be, and then I can just flip it and flip it. And then this way I can really, hopefully, really align it really easy to this scroll here. Let me stretch it out a little bit more. There we go. Grab everything, drag it along so it's in here. Let me just compress it a little bit. Looks like it's getting a little wonky on the end there. Let me see if I can drag it off here using the nodes. Not sure why it's giving me a hard time, but it doesn't want to. There we go. It doesn't want to go off the end of that. There we go. Now if I click here, I should be able to compress it. And then go nodes again and drag it out so it's all the way in here, hopefully. There we go. Now I'll break it apart, Control K, OK, here, Control Q, convert it to curves, get rid of the outline, delete. I'll shrink it just a little bit, it's a little big. Save it. I'm going to duplicate my other piece here, drag it across, right click, flip it, come over here, right about to here. If this is too big, see if this whole border is too big, which sometimes happens. You can just compress the whole thing, make life a little easier there instead of trying to figure it all out in one shot. And I'm going to right click here, flip this using the control command again, leave it right there. Pretty much right there. And this one here. There. There we go. Save it. This. When I look at this, I want to take it and just make it elongated. So I'm going to just drag the whole thing down a little bit in the design. That'll make it eat up a little bit more of this space. And then this I can kind of shrink down here. Let me stretch these pieces out just a little bit and shrink them down just a little more there, and I'll center it, hit the center key. Now one thing I'm going to do kind of quick here, because I wanted to do a little graphic. I'm going to save it. To finish this design up, I wanted to do a little graphic to kind of make it, drag this down, right click, flip it, this, so you can kind of see how this is working already. Let me, here, save it. Then what I'm going to do is I need a graphic to come in here, so I'm going to make essentially make a fist graphic pretty quick here. So I'm just going to take and just kind of freehand click out some pieces, and what I'm trying to do is just make, like you'll see in a second here, just like a thumb. And so I'm just double clicking when I do this, and it takes a little practice, but you can work on this at home and get pretty good at it. The goal here is to just create a graphic that you can use that will give you kind of a cool look. And my idea here is to actually make a graphic that looks like a fist. So I'm just double clicking. And just bring it in together here. So you can kind of see this is my one fist that I kind of made here real quick. And what I want to do is I kind of want to symbolize somebody choking with a gi, a uniform that they use in jiu-jitsu. So I have this symbol on this side, and then so I just need to make a couple extra pieces here, which will just be like the bottom part of the gi, essentially. There, and then pieces up here probably be like, there just needs to be like one little piece there, and then probably one little piece here. So essentially it'd be like this, that, and then we'll control L on those. We can fill them with black, kind of give you an idea here. No outlines. This opens it up a little bit. So it's kind of like this. And then we have it one like this way. And then you have one, right click, and then you flip it. So one going this way. So the goal is you have two, because this is like a cross choke in a Ghee. So essentially one going this way and one going that way. Like this. I'm going to turn them up just a little bit. There. And then I'll do, because I wanted them like coming this way and then having the Ghee kind of coming out, so you got kind of like this. And this could be just like symbolically like part of the Ghee going into the thumb there. And flip it over, slide it over here like that, kind of going in. Right click, so it's like this. And then these actually usually are pretty close together, so they're like this. I can move this out of the way for now, see if this is working. Sometimes the element that you make, you don't always know if it's going to work or not. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell if it makes sense, if it's working, if people understand it, you know, that sort of thing. In this case, might not be. I don't know yet. Kind of looking at it going, is it working? Is it not working? The idea is to get it looking like a Ghee choke, which is pretty close. It's pretty close to that. So I'm going to cut this with an oval, just the top. Cut it off with an oval here. And then pop my out on top of that. Shift page up. Oops, I missed one. Shift page up. There. And then I need to cut this at the bottom right here. Cut that off with the white. Leave it right there. Drag that down. And then I'll bring all this up to the top except for that. Shift page up, so that pushes it on top. And then this established can be squeezed out like, and put right up here. There, and just kind of drift it up to the side here. And then the last part that we need is a flourish, like right here. So we can move these off just a little bit. Part of this that would probably help is if I had like a piece that was going down here that was white, it would look more like the Ghee is in the guy's hand, so that would probably help. So I'll add that. Control D, shift page down, move it over a little bit, turn it black, so it looks like the Ghee is actually in the guy's hand a little bit. Here I can change that effect, so it'll be just like this. Kind of up there, like that. Looks like that. And this can be a little bigger than that one. We can also do it again, like up here. Rotate it a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of adding a few extra nodes, so I merge this piece with this graphic here just to make it more look more like it's an actual uniform that the guy has a hold of, that he's choking a guy with. So I can take that, and then I can take this same, the nice thing about this is I can take the same pieces and just drag them over here, right click, and then flip them. Hopefully line them up to roughly the same place on this side. So it looks like the same sort of deal there. So then I just need to stretch these so they go off the page though. So let me do that real quick, and then I should be able to wrap this up. I'm going to stretch them to go here, here, and then I'll do this one there, there, this, there, this. Since these are a little bit different position, I have to do them individually. I can't flip them, but that's okay. It won't take too long. There, here, lift it up a little bit just so it looks like it's on there. It's a little tedious sometimes, design, but the end result hopefully is, end up being pretty cool. So have this angle a little bit more down, like that, and this angle a little bit down, like that, and like that. And let's see. Yep, looks better. So now all we want to do is put a flourish up here, similar to what we did on the outside, but what I want to do essentially is just create one that just loops here and loops there. So we'll just create one that's pretty simple. It'll just start here, it'll curve, go here, loop up, and go around. That'll be one, and then we'll do a double one there, and then we'll just make one that goes off here and then finishes there, and has an accent one that goes the opposite. So that should do it here. And then we just need to smooth them out as much as we can here. Right click, or double click, not right click. So delete, and then just a couple here. Just smooth these out. Like that. And then in this case, I'm just going to merge the whole thing. Just going to Control L, delete. Nope. Oh, see, I got those. Got these here. I didn't want to get those, so You can kind of watch down here and make sure you're 4, 4. Okay, so now I can Control L, and then I'm going to duplicate them like this, move it to right there, and then I will merge them, Control L, and then I'll just merge these points. Just merge the end points here. Let's see how I'm just joining those just to make them line up. And then I can Control K, break it apart, and then fill it all with black. And it makes those flourishes kind of work. And then I can always add points to the end if I want. Just if I want to heavy some of the ends up here. Oops, I think this isn't connected here for some reason. There. Let me rotate this. Shrink it a little bit. Put it right here. This just gives it a little more ornamental look, a little bit here. Don't have to do it on all of them, but on just some of them, sometimes that looks pretty cool. And then so I'm going to save that. And then we take that we just did. I'm going to group it. Make sure I got it all. I'm going to delete it. And then Control Z, undo it. That's just a quick way to making sure you have it all. And then I can flip it, take it up here a notch, and then I can rotate it a little bit. And once you have it on this side, you can just add a little bit more to it. Just take a couple of these pieces and just Control ungroup, and just take a couple more and just add a little bit to just kind of wrap it up, finish it up here. And then this one. With one more of these, and we should be good to go. And take a look at our finished design there. Save it. Okay. And then we want to make it look vintage, of course. So D, duplicate, undo, group. I'm going to convert any of my type to curves. Control Q, just to make sure. I got 56 objects. I'm going to hit the P key to center it. And then what I want to do here is I'm going to create a black background, because I'm going to put this on a black garment. Shift page down. And now anything in my design, I'm going to use this handy little color replacer from Oberon that I got offline. And I'm going to take anything that's black, and I'm going to convert that to white. Actually, I'm going to convert it to, I'll convert it to blue first. That'll make it faster. Here, oops. Okay, let me go back and undo that just for a second. Okay, I don't need to, I'll take anything that except for the background square that's black. Convert that to blue. You do that. There we go. And then anything that's white, I'll convert to black. And then anything that's blue, I'll convert to white. And that's a fast way to kind of just flip it, invert it, just like that. And now we have our kind of ornate looking vintage design, and we may want to bust it up a little bit more. So I'm going to save this. Couple things I'm noticing here that I want to do. One is I want to connect these just to make it look more functional. Oh, that's a circle, right? Okay, so if I take that circle and I control Q, and then I just take the node, add some nodes to that circle, watch. I'll just add a node here and I'll move it up there, and then I'll pull it down. Now I can just move this circle up to there, and then add another node and move it down there. Now I can just marry that up to the top there. Looks pretty good. Maybe one of these, we do want to have it actually go into the hand almost right there. Maybe this one, actually have it go so it looks like it's in there, like this one. You can get real fussy with this stuff, but I just like to have it pretty close to the way I want it. That looks pretty good. So when in doubt, choke them out. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, established 1925. Save it, and let's distress it a little bit. You know, let's grab a filter like this, free texture grabbed offline, and let's go ahead and distress it just a little bit. Let's effect just bitmap. Let's mode grayscale, convert to grayscale. Let's up the convert to bitmap. Let's convert it to a grayscale at 200 dpi. That should work good. Say OK. Needs to be touching the. It said objects that are not on the right layer I can't do anything with, so I gotta make sure it's touching the board here. And then what I can do, now that it's grayscale, I can effects just tone curve, and then we're just going to go way over here with this, and we'll leave just a little bit of black, though. We want to have some of it be black, right? Let me drag it over a little more. Drag it over a little more. Probably want a little more than this, right? A little more dirt, grime. Bust up our image there. Say OK. And then take this and drop it down like that. And then we go bitmap, mode, black and white. Leave it at line art, that's fine. Say OK. And now we can turn the foreground to nothing. So I left click on this, and then I right click on black. And then I can drag it over my design, and it'll just kind of bust it up a little bit. Just a little bit. I can kind of do a little bit here, and then I grab it, right click, bust up a little over there, bring it over here, right click, bust up a little there, and then right click. So I just toss it on top a little bit. I kind of want something a little dirtier on that choke part, so I'm going to go over here, make sure there's some over there, so it kind of hits that. And there you go. That's a finished kind of vintage design. If I went full screen, hopefully that'll hold in the video if I go full screen, but it's function F9 here. Yeah, so you should be able to see that. And so I hope you can use some of these ideas to create your own vintage designs and make them look distressed, and make some cool t-shirts.